course, since she was found in a trash can, no one knew Ilya's real ethnic roots, but since the Bulgakovs were raising her, everyone thought of her as Russian. For those of you who might be wondering what exactly is a Saturday Night Russian, I'll sketch a portrait epitomizing the essentials. Ilya, age 14, her face bearing a kaleidoscopic mask of cosmetics, circus hoop earrings of gold dangling from her lobes, low-cut blouse revealing pendant-crested milk-slope cleavage, the pendant spelling Ilya in diamond-crusted letters, a gift from Boris for her 13th birthday. Thigh-riding, ass-sculpting black skirt, open-toed platform showcasing violet-painted toenails. Times when Ilya wanted to smarten up, as she called it, she would wear her Dolce & Gabbana tortoiseshell glasses, which would frame her green eyes with cat-like sleekness. This uniform and its fashion-sensitive sum of all parts implied that Ilya was every day ready-made for Saturday night. So, and here's the secret. Ilya, like her father, Boris, possessed a mighty thirst for drink. Like the rest of us, it was mostly a steady diet of malt liquor, but every once in a while she'd steal a bottle of Smirnoff from Boris's cabinet, and on those nights loaded with vodka, you might get 5 or 6 different Ilyas. Her highly charged whirlwind of moods were hard to keep up with, and the girl who suddenly, without warning, tore you a new asshole at 7:40 was not the same girl as the one who shyly took you into her confidence at 7:52. The days after nights like those, Ilya would ask me, "Who was I last night, Emilio?" And I'd answer, "Who weren't you, Ilya?" It was late summer, and we were hanging out at the park drinking in one of the dugouts on the baseball field. That night, Ilya had drunk 1.5 40s and a half bottle of vodka. And looking at this girl who, without platform, stood about 5'2", I thought, how the fuck did she take it all in? On several occasions, it wanted to come back out, as Ilya would take a knee or double over, and I thought, here it comes. But she'd spit, straighten up, and say, I'm good, I'm good. Then the moment came when Ilya took my arm and quietly said, please come with me, Emilio, I'm going to puke. I knew Ilya hated to puke alone, and I felt honored that she had chosen me to be with her in a moment of need. We left the dugout, Ilya's arm linked in mine, and as we walked away, Mikey G shouted, look out! Emilio and Ilya taking a walk. Ilya flashed Mikey a no-look middle finger, and we kept on walking, arm in arm, towards center field. When we got there, Ilya disengaged her arm from mine, kneeled down, and began violently puking in the grass. I felt since she had chosen me as her escort, I should make myself useful in some way. So I gathered her long hair into my hands and held it up out of harm's way. When she was done, Ilya rose, glassy-eyed and trembling. You know, Ilya, I said, it's like 90 degrees out here, and you're shaking. For some reason, Ilya found this statement hysterical and laughed until tears were in her eyes. When she was done laughing, she placed a piece of pink gum in her mouth, took my arm and said, come on, Emilio, let's walk. She guided me to the center of the baseball diamond, just beyond the hump that was the pitcher's mound. When we got there, she asked me, do I have puke all over my mouth? Told her she had a little. How much? A little, not much. Would you kiss me right now? My heart raced and I thought of everyone in the dugout who I'm sure were watching us. What do you mean? I asked her. I mean, is there enough puke to stop you from kissing me? I studied Ilya's mouth, noticing that most of her plum-dark lipstick had faded. No, I said. I became very aware of my hands, which suddenly felt swollen and tingly. Ilya smiled and wiped her mouth with the back of her forearm. Good, she said, then spit out her gum and pulled me down into the dirt. Let's lie down, side by side, real quiet, okay? Okay, I agreed. We lay down together, and Ilya wriggled closer to me, making sure our sides were touching. I stared up at the night sky and tried to synchronize my breathing with Ilya's, which was deep and slow. Though I could faintly smell cherry from the gum Ilya had been chewing, it was mostly her perfume, which reminded me of wet peaches, that got into my nostrils and lungs and made me woozy. Ilya's voice broke the spell when she asked me, what are you thinking about? I felt like she somehow knew the effect her perfume was having on me and wanted me to confess. But what I told her was, I was thinking how the grass at night smells different from the grass in the day. How, she said. How? I asked. Yes, how does it smell different? In what way? I thought about this, drew repeated blanks, then said, I don't know in what way. It just smells different. I could feel Ilya's head, which was practically grafted to mine, toggle a nod, and we went back to staring at the sky in silence. This lasted about a minute, then Ilya said, you know, Emilio, if we don't move, if we stay like this and don't move at all, it won't continue. I didn't know what Ilya meant and didn't want to ask. Something in me was afraid to ask, or maybe afraid of something I didn't want to understand. Not at that moment. I just said, yeah, and left it at that. When we saw a thin, flashing silver dart cutting across the night sky, Ilya said, you know what I think of when I see planes in the sky? No, what? I think there are no... It was the end of July, Tuesday, early afternoon. Joey and Danny were in the yard, soaking the fat-caked bristles of their scrub brushes in pails of warm water, then scrubbing the congealed meat brine from the rims and interiors of the fat pails. Once a pail was sufficiently scrubbed, they'd hose it down and stock it with the other clean pails. Both boys sat on blue milk crates while scrubbing. You know how fucking disgusting these pails are? Joey said. Yeah, Jay, Danny said. I'm scrubbing the same pails you are. Joey rose to his feet, tossed his scrub brush to the ground, peeled off the yellow rubber gloves he was wearing, and wiped at the sweat on his forehead with the back of his forearm. Man, he said, and plopped down on the milk crate and suddenly began sniffing the length of his left arm. You know what I smell like? Dead meat. Dead meat rotting in the sun. Joey paused, sniffed his arm again just to make sure he had gotten the scent right, and said, yeah, that's it, man. Dead meat rotting in the sun. We are dead meat rotting in the sun. That's what we are, Danny said, continuing to work his scrub brush inside the fat pail. What do you mean that's what we are? Joey said, fishing a pack of Newports out of his pocket. Danny stopped scrubbing, his face flushed. I don't know what I mean, but it feels like that's what we are, no? Dead meat rotting in the sun? That's what I feel like, don't you? Joey considered this while lighting his cigarette. Dead meat rotting in the sun, Joey muttered reflectively, as if trying to get at the meaning behind the words. Then his voice grew bolder, more direct, when he said, yeah, I don't know. Danny rested his elbows on his knees and leaned forward. Your father knows you smoke, Danny asked? Yeah, Joey said, the way he sees it, whether I started 13 or I started 16, it's not going to make much of a difference in the long run. He just told me to make sure my mother didn't find out. He said if she found out, he'd break my face. Danny nodded. By the way, Joey said, how's your father doing? He's good, Danny said. He's got to stay in the hospital one more week, then he can come home. Danny had told all his friends that his father had gone to the hospital to have surgery on his back, which would keep him laid up there for a month. Even though Danny thought the story wasn't a very convincing one, the bad back had been his mother's idea, he told it and tried not to care too much about whether his friends believed it or not. As long as they accepted what he said on the surface and didn't ask too many questions, that was good enough. Joey smoked and Danny went back to scrubbing fat pails. Joey stood up and walked past Danny to where fat pails were lining the wall. The pails were overstuffed with meat scraps, and the mounded surface of the scraps were whited over with a slowly moving blanket of maggots. Joey pressed the lit end of his cigarette against one of the maggots and held it there, the maggot blackening like a piece of singed mucus. Then he flicked his cigarette to the ground, exhaled smoke through his nostrils, and burst out, oh shit, D, I forgot to tell you what I saw last week, some crazy shit. Danny stopped scrubbing. What? He said. Joey raised both his hands and said, I swear to God, D, I swear to my mother, last week I was coming back from a delivery, about to pull into the back, and through the fence, I see Mick pick up a handful of maggots from a fat pail, and he ate them. Get the fuck out of here, Danny said. I swear to God, D, I swear to my mother. I mean, he's not creepy. I know he's crazy. He's Mick the lunatic. But eating maggots? God damn! God damn, Danny echoed. Then lowering his voice to a whisper just in case Mick, who worked as a butcher in the back room, could hear him through the door, Danny asked, hey, is it true that he stabbed his girlfriend to death? I think so, Joey whispered back. My father thinks so. God damn, Danny said and shook his head. Man, I'm fucking tired of fat pails, Joey complained, and kicked one over as it rolled at a 180-degree angle before hitting the fence. Work blows, Joey said. The big one, Danny said. Still, Joey reasoned, it's nice to make your own money, huh? Yeah, it's okay, I guess, Danny said, rising to his feet and shaking his legs to stimulate circulation. You going to Laurie's stoop tonight, Joey asked. I guess. You? Yeah. Joey paused, smiled. I bet Kim's going to be there tonight. So? What, you don't like her? Yeah, she's cool. Yeah, she's cool. You know, Jack said she would go with you if you're into her. Oh yeah, Danny said, making sure to sound disinterested. Joey playfully knocked on Danny's arm. Come on, D, she's hot. I'm not saying she's not. You know what they call her? What? Kim Coconuts. I never heard that. Yeah, Kim Coconuts, Joey repeated, this time pantomime outlining the coconut-esque swell of Kim's breasts. Danny smiled and shook his head. Joey went on, and she wants to go with you, so I guess I'm lucky, huh? Yeah, faggot, you're lucky. What about you and Jennifer? What about me and Jennifer? I don't know, it looks like there's something there. Oh yeah, what does it look like? I don't know, something. Don't you fucking know what something is? Joey grinned and allowed himself to imagine something, what it might look or feel like. Danny's voice cut off Joey's imagining. Jay, you want to go to Dope Band next week? Just me and you? We can ask Jack, but doesn't seem to be into it anymore. Yeah, Joey said, letting his voice trail off. Yeah, what? Yeah, nothing, just, yeah, we should go. It's going to be me and you versus RDD. No, fuck RDD, me and you and no one else. We'll explore and shit, we'll look for Sonny's hut. Joey clapped his hands together and laughed. Come on with that shit, Danny, we've been everywhere in Dope Band, there's no Sonny. The back door to the Leo's swung open and Giuseppe stood in the doorway bellowing, "To delivery, boys, right now! Come on here!" And Thunder clapped his meaty hands together. Joey and Danny went inside to pick up the orders, then set off on their bikes. And it there.